Hey guys, it's finally time for a new build video. This time I will go over defenders. So I was waiting just a bit for the patches to come out, for the balance patch, before I go into the next category, just in case there are changes. And I mean, there have been some changes, as you already see. The first one, already Blastoise. We have now a Water Spout. I think both builds are very good, Water Spout, Rapid Spin, or Surf and Hydro Pump. I think it just depends on what you want to play. Do you want to play more damagey? You know, I would describe Rapid Spin, Water Spout as like an all-rounder build, and Surf, Hydro Pump more as a defender build. So it depends what you want. Do you want to have CC and more team fighting? Then, you know, Hydro Pump, Surf is still very, very strong and very solid choice if you just want to play him like an actual tank. And if you be like, oh, I just want to have fun and just kill my opponents and do crazy amounts of damage, Rapid Spin and Water Spout is very, very good now again and absolutely playable. So those both builds are, I would say, almost equally good, just a different playstyle. For hate items, I would always run Score Sheet, Body Barrier on this character. Yeah, Body Barrier is just needed. Score Sheet is a good combination with anything. Any defenders have like high base HP, right? So also you can always Unite Move and Score Sheet in certain scenarios as well, which can happen quite often. And for flex items, if you play Rapid Spin, Water Spout, I would recommend the special specs. If you play Surf, Hydro Pump, you can go Muscle Band. And if you want to be more tankier, you can also go Focus Band in both of these builds, totally fine. You has less damage, but you might like survive laning phase a bit better, or you might survive team fights a bit longer. And for the battle item, always eject button. It's a no-brainer on Blastoise. Just being able to use eject button during your Unite move animation is just so huge. There's just no reason to go any other better item than eject button. I mean, Slow Smoke is nice as well, but yeah, just the combination between his Unite move and eject button is just way too strong. And I think that's something they might remove in the future. You know, it's something I would at least do. I think it's a bit too powerful sometimes. But yeah, that's it for Blastoise. For Crustle, the best moveset is Shell Smash and Stealth Rock still, I would say, just because it gives you some very nice PvE. And you can also run, if you want to be a bit more team fighty, or just, again, just like similar to Blastoise, you just want to have a bit more CC. You can also play X-Scissors with Shell Smash. I would never recommend Rock Tomb. I think it's a very lackluster ability, and it just makes it's just awful. They really have to buff that ability a bit. It feels very weird to use. It's kind of clunky. But for head items, Score Sheet, Body Barrier, Focus Band, I think is the best build. You could replace Focus Band with something like maybe Attack Weight for X-Scissors, because actually it's very good scaling, or maybe like a Muscle Band just so you have a bit more auto-take damage. But I would say these three head items are the best for Crustle, and it's a pretty no-brainer, especially the Score Sheet, Body Barrier, of course, since you can, you know, how often Crustle can score with those and just get 50 coins in without any contention. For battle items, you can go Fluffy Tail if you play Stealth Rock, very strong. It has very good PvE, is very good at invading, is very good at taking Zapdos or Dreadnought. Or Rotom, so can recommend Fluffy Tail. For X-Scissors, I would recommend Eject Button. You know, being able to eject behind someone and X-Scissoring them is probably very important, and it just gives him a bit more mobility to get good X-Scissors in. Otherwise, you can also, in both builds, choose Slow Smoke. Slow Smoke with Stealth Rock is also fine. You can drop it on someone that doesn't have any escapes, and you just Stealth Rock them, and they might just die to it. Same with X-Scissors, just maybe easier to hit. So Slow Smoke is still a very good item, and you can play it in both builds. But yeah, Fluffy Tail I would not recommend in X-Scissors, and Eject Button I would not recommend in Stealth Rock. So it's either Fluffy Tail, Stealth Rock, Eject Button, X-Scissors, or Slow Smoke in both builds. For Greedent, I would say the best moveset is still Covet and Belch. I don't think Soft Cheeks and Bullet Seed is that far behind. It's also quite solid. I just think Covet Belch is a bit more consistent and has very insane team fighting. Very good PvE damage as well. And Covet is just so hard to deal with, right? It's just so hard to deal with. But you can play Bullet Seed if you want to. But I would never recommend playing Covet and Bullet Seed. That's just a no-go. And Soft Cheeks and Belch I would also not play. Only these two moveset combinations I would play, and I would not recommend any other move combination. For head items, similar to Crustle, Body Barrier, Score Sheet is no-brainer on this character. He's very good at split pushing. I mean, he's pretty much Crustle 2.0, right? Like, he's the character that kind of pushed Crustle away from the Crustle position and pretty much took over it. So just the same thing, also with this Unite move, easy to get scores in with it as well sometimes. For flex items, you can either run Attack Weight. I think Attack Weight is fine in both builds. I would for sure recommend running it in Belch. It has very good scaling and will make your Belches do much more damage. I think it's also completely fine in Bullet Seed. And he's just a very easy stacking Attack Weight character, right? You know, you literally can't deal with him early game with his stacking cooldown. He will get Attack Weight stacks, doesn't matter what you do about it. Or if you don't want to stack and you're like, I do enough damage, it's fine. You can also just always go Focus Band. Very standard. normal thing to do. For better items, I would recommend, actually no, Fluffy Tail is probably the most recommended. It's fine in both builds. It'll make you can be able to burst something down with the Belch and Fluffy Tail pretty easily. Again, he's also very good counter jungler, so you are able to take enemy buffs much easier. But Slowsmoke's also quite fine. Like, Slowsmoke allows you to hit your Belches very effectively, and again, he has a lot of mobility, so you're not really ever in danger. So just dropping, Slowsmoke onto backline characters can be very strong, and make also, like, they can't get away from Bullet Seed, they can't get away from Belches. Obviously, if they have any sort of mobility, it doesn't really do much. But yeah, Fluffy Tail fine both builds, and so is Slowsmoke. Now for Mamoswine, I think Mamoswine is a bit weird. I mean, it's not weird. I think all his moves work. Like, you can go any moveset combination, and I think it's totally fine. I would recommend either Ice Fang and Earthquake, or Ice Shackle and High Horsepower, but honestly, I think you can also play Earthquake and Ice Shackle Crash. You can also play High Horsepower and Ice Fang, but I think these combinations are a bit better that I'm showing right here. But honestly, I mean, his abilities are like they're just there. Obviously, Ice Shackle Crash and High Horsepower has good synergy, because it makes the Ice Shackle Crash explode easier. But Ice Fang gives you that nice early game, and Earthquake is also a nice stun that is much easier to, like, combo something with than High Horsepower. But honestly, you can play, I feel like, any boosted combination on this character, but again, these are the ones I would recommend. For head items, Buddy Barrier Focus Band is, I would say, we should always go. Without Buddy Barrier, he just dies in his Unite move. Without Focus Band, you have very strong laning phase, and you don't want to die during laning phase, and Focus Band allows you to be very aggressive in laning phase. For flex items, you can either just go Score Shield, again, he's a tank, high HP pool, so Score Shield's always fine, or you just go Muscle Band for just to be aggressive, and he does auto-attack quite a lot, right? And it will add a lot of damage to your kit or to your character, and will make your early game even stronger. But you don't have to necessarily go it. I wouldn't recommend anything else. Something like Attack Rate wouldn't be too bad either. Ice Shackle Crash and High Horsepower have decent scaling or weakness policy, but I just don't think it's better than Muscle Band, because Muscle Band will just give you that strong early game that Mamoswine wants, because he is one of the strongest level 1 to level 3 characters in the game, and weakness policy and Attack Rate will not help you in those scenarios. For better items, either Eject Button or Slowsmoke. Both are totally fine. The problem with Slowsmoke is that you will never get out of fights, but you have so much CC to lock someone down. It will also be easier to hit your Ice Fangs on someone when you go in. So Slowsmoke totally fine. Eject Button is totally fine if you want to be a bit more safe. Both are completely reasonable, better items to go for, and honestly, it probably just comes down to personal preference. Sadly, you can't really see what you load into a game. Like, if you play against a Wigglytuff or something, not having Eject Button can be quite rough, because you might also be slow smoked, or seeing how many slow smokes on the enemy team, because you will not be getting out of those either. But yeah, since we can't see it, just personal preference, try both out and see which one you like more. For Slowbro, the best moveset is Surf Telekinesis. We actually had a video about him earlier today. If you haven't watched it yet, you can check it out. You can also run Amnesia instead of the Telekinesis if the enemies have very high special tech carries, right? Let's say the enemies have a Gardevoir jungle, a bot lane Sylveon or something. Then going Amnesia is totally fine. It gives you nice special defense, but I would still recommend Telekinesis most of the cases. For the alternative moveset, we can go Skite Amnesia, but like, I would not really recommend it. I just put it in here just to, be like, yeah. I mean, it's not a bad ability. Skite is quite good early mid game. It just doesn't really do much in late game, but it's it's really not a terrible ability, but just Surf is so much better, especially on level 11. It's just a complete game changer to have Surf. For head items, Muscle Band, Focus Band, I think are the two best head items you should always go on him. Again, a basic attack, ranged tank, so Muscle Band gets a lot of value on him, since you're tanky, so you will permanently auto-attacking characters in laning phase, in mid game and late game. Muscle Band should be a no-brainer, Focus Band as well. You just want to live as long as possible with this character. For flex items, either Buddy Barrier or Score Shield. You don't necessarily have to run Buddy Barrier, since his Unite move is more like, to pick something out. But it's still completely fine to go Buddy Barrier, I think, as well, just for team fighting, if you use it in team fight and solo queue. Otherwise, Score Shield, also just another defender that can run Score Shield. I mean, almost every defender can run Score Shield if they want to, right? For sure, very reasonable. He doesn't have any shields himself, but it doesn't really matter. And for better items, I know there's probably a lot of Potion fans, and someone's gonna be like, but Chris, what about Potion on Slowbro? Go Eject Button, please. Just being able to Eject Button Surf or Eject Button Unite move someone is so much better than having that little bit of heal. Yes, Slack Off gives you very good early game healing with Potion. During Slack Off, your Potion will heal double the amount, But that's gone so fast, right? On level 6, you don't have it anymore, and Potion will really just not do much over the course of the rest of the game. And Eject Button will help you get out of slow smokes as well of the enemy team. And again, you can be very aggressive with it. You can Eject Button into serves, very good late game team fights, or just Eject Button, or less Eject Button blink onto an enemy carry and unite with them. So much more important than having Potion. For Snorlax, the best moveset is the Heavy Slam and Block. For the alternate moveset, Flare and Yawn is something you can play, but it's more like, I would say, for fun build and nothing really too serious. But Heavy Slam Block is still pretty solid, gives them a lot of CC. And for head items, we run Buddy Barrier Focus Band with this, very straightforward. And then for flex items, I would always go Scorchiate if you play Heavy Slam Block. And if you decide to go Flail, you can put in a Scope Lens, I think. It is very fun if your Flail actually crits because it does crazy damage with it. You can also maybe run Muscle Band instead, or Weakness Policy, or Attack Weight. But yeah, I don't want to really go too deep into a Flail build now, because I just don't think it's something you should be playing right now, especially in the slow smoke meta. You will be stuck in slow smokes 24/7, which means you will just get kited to death. Yes, you can run X-Speed and stuff, but if the enemies have 3 or 4 slow smokes, 1 X-Speed is not going to counter those things. And for better items, you can either go Eject Button or X-Speed. X-Speed block actually works quite well. If you jump on someone, you can use X-Speed while blocking, and it will get rid of that slow you get while blocking, so you can actually run at faster speed and block people faster into your team. It's actually quite nice. So you can run totally both Eject Button and X-Speed. Both are very strong on this character. You can also Heavy Slam Eject Button. While mid-animation of Heavy Slam, you can Eject Button into the enemy team. So both of these head items are totally reasonable to go, and this just comes down to personal preference again. What do you want? Do you want to have longer engage, or do you just want to pick off characters with block much easier than X-Speed is your go-to? And now for the last defender, Trevenant, which is still pretty lackluster character, sadly. For the best moveset, I would say Curse and Horn Leech is the best moveset, even after the Woodhammer buffs. It's still just the secondary best spell. Woodhammer, Curse, I think it's the superior. And for the second move, we always go Horn Leech. This character without Horn Leech is just awful. Pain Split doesn't do anything. And Horn Leech is the only thing I feel like that makes this character a viable thing. Just being able to CC someone for a very long time. I really like the the double Horn Leech and Curse combo. I think that's something that can make him viable, getting those double Horn Leeches off in team fights. And yeah, besides that, I would not recommend anything else. And for the head items, Buddy and Focus, seeing a similar trend here. Obviously, we pretty much run Buddy Barrier on every single defender. It's just a no-brainer, and Focus Band as well on this character, very important. You are quite squishy, you will be a lot at low HP, and it also has nice synergy with this trait, or passive. For flex items, you can either go Scorchiate or Muscle Band as well again. Whatever you prefer. I personally prefer Muscle Band, just gives them some nice auto-attacking during Curse. Muscle Band is just an item that makes characters who don't do a lot of damage, they actually damage and be a threat. So I personally prefer Muscle Band, but Scorchiate is also totally fine. Obviously very strong solo queue item, very strong item in general in the game, one of the best items. You can always go on any defender or anything that has high HP or any melee character that is close to gold and it can be very aggressive. Totally fine. For better items, Eject Button or Slow Smoke also, again, you can decide whatever you want. Eject Button does make you live a bit longer. You can also Eject Button Horn Leech someone back into your team. Otherwise, Slow Smoke is pretty fine on this character as well. Makes it easier to hit your Horn Leeches as well. And in general, just gives you an extra layer of CC that you might need and want. Alright guys, that's it for Defender builds. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Would appreciate if you guys liked the video, subscribe to my channel, and a support build video and a what is left Speedster video is also coming out soon. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.